Long ago, in an age tarnished by endless conflict, 5 beautiful goddesses descended upon the land. The goddesses sang mystical songs that restored peace and harmony to our broken world. The people began to worship these holy songstresses and came to refer to them as intoners. Thanks to the efforts of these intoners, the chaos of war became a distant memory. And as a result, mankind enjoyed an age of sweet reverie, basking in the newfound light and
The Drakengard series are action role-playing games that often incorporate very mature themes and extreme violence. Not a Grand Theft Auto kind of way, but unique and graceful. It was developed by Square Enix and from the makers of Nier, for God's sakes. The first and second games of the series are both on the PS2, and the third has finally been made nearly a decade later for the PS3. Drakengard 3 is a godsend for its fans.
This game isn't like your average rated M titles. The blood and gore in Drakengard 3 reminds me of God of War. Its gameplay is similar to Dynasty Warriors and DMC, since it's an action role-playing game with hack and slash elements. From the menu select screen, you can select your missions, or what they're known as in this game, verses. By clearing verses, the game rewards you with the next cutscene or a bit of the story. You will also unlock accord requests, which are short verses with objectives to obtain an item or earn serious cash, which are labeled as payday requests. After completing the main story, aka Branch A, you will unlock the rest of the branches, which are alternative endings that can be played through. The true ending that will continue on with the Drakengard series would be Branch E, which can only be unlocked by completing branches A through D. Returning to the main gameplay, the game does not provide a tutorial. Rather, you're thrown into the fray of battle, and slowly the game introduces your controls like your attack, strong attack, which uses your stamina found under the health gauge, jump, guard, lock on, and evade. The only thing about the lock on is that sometimes, when you have it activated, it will hone in onto the enemy far away rather than the one right next to you. When locked on, it's hard to see the enemy if you're in a corner, making the map block your vision. Oh, and this game's version of generic hero super mode is called Intoner mode. Intoner mode unleashes Zero's power and makes her attacks more powerful. This uses up her bloodlust, which is the circle gauge right next to your health and stamina bars. In order to increase the bloodlust gauge, you need to defeat a lot of enemies and the mini bosses, which will drop red spheres or blood orbs. Each verse contains 3 chests full of goodies. It contains money, base material, or a new weapon. Base materials are used to upgrade your weapons, increasing its attack damage, sometimes weight, and max combos. Strong stamina attacks are different with each weapon, and upgrading adds more to your combo scheme.
The game is pretty much straightforward, in that you have to clear all the enemies and get to the end of the map, and every third verse or so, you will have a mini-boss that you have to fight and kill. There are various boxes that can be found throughout the map, which most of the time contains money and sometimes blue spears that can heal you a bit. For boss battles, you fight against one of your sisters. You battle your sisters in order from 5 all the way to 1, hinting that the numerical order gauges the strength of the intoner, 0 being the strongest. For boss fights, you must mount and use your dragon to fight, and usually involving air combat and ground combat, which controls differently. When on the ground with Mikhail, you can breathe fire with the stamina attack. You can fly by double tapping the jump button, and to fly higher, continue tapping the button. In the air, instead of breathing fire, you do a headbutt. Sounds like a downgrade. Also, R1 and circle are used as dodge and evade maneuvers. After defeating a boss, you're given a disciple which hands you a new weapon and fights with you along the way.
Please, kill me as well.
I kill my sisters.
I take their men. Go clean up, front and rear. We meet tonight.
Front and rear?
You have 4 different kinds of weapons: swords, spears, combat bracers, and chakrams. After unlocking new weapons to use in the verse after, you can switch between them and bash your way through difficult situations. There's more than one kind of each weapon type, which you can change and upgrade at the verse select screen. You can also buy new weapons, as well as items such as health, attack, and defense potions, and also base material. On this menu screen as well, you can change settings as well as toggle on or off the blood spatter, which shows on the screen after you slice up an enemy. Last but not least, if you die in the game, you are sent to the game over screen, where you can continue or go back to the main menu. If you choose to continue, you can restart the verse from the very last checkpoint. I only mention this because continuing will make the enemies slightly easier, but just ever so slightly.
Unlike Drakengard 1 and 2, Drakengard 3 is a prequel, so there's really no need to replay the other games in order to understand the story. There's also a relation to Nier, Gestalt, and Replicant, which are spin-offs of the Drakengard series. Only Replicant made it to the US, and it was labeled Nier, which is the second half of the Nier story. Drakengard 3, aka Drag on Dragoon 3, is a dark and bloody story.
You are Zero, one of the 6 intoners who is gifted with the ability to manipulate magic through songs, whose duty is to guide and protect the people in the world. Instead of fulfilling your duties, you defect and spray the path to kill your sisters with the blood of your enemies. Just so the game wouldn't be too dark, the makers added in a little comedy relief in either the cutscenes or the dialogue throughout the verses. The same goes for your companions that you pick up along the way. On a journey to kill your sisters, you end up traveling with an idiot being your dragon, a sadist, a masochist, a pervert, and a confused narcissist. I mean, what better companions can a girl ask for? Thus, your pursuit begins. Now this may come off as strange, since you seem to play as an antagonist, Zero. You being a goddess who slays mankind and intoners alike without a second thought. Your companions are the worst parts of a human psyche, and the most humane member of your little group is the dragon. That's saying something. Even though all this information is given to you, and it's presented in such a compelling way via cutscenes, all of it is really a red herring for the true underlying story of Drakengard 3. Zero's sister, the Protectors, quotation marks noted for sarcasm please, of the world, originated from Zero herself. You know that flower sitting on her right eye? Yeah, that's not a fashion statement, but a curse. The flower is the true main antagonist of Drakengard 3. The flower itself is a godlike entity who made Zero the original intoner, infusing its power through her. The flower's purpose is to destroy the world. No shit, but Zero, not explained that well throughout the story, knew this and took her life to prevent the destruction of the world. The flower protecting itself reincarnated its host, Zero, as well as birthing the other intoners from nearby dying girls, splitting the original Zero's power, preventing Zero from stopping it. The intoners are lustful and sexual by nature, either by being a full-on sex machine or a virgin for eternity.
My Zero, how strong you are! Well, I've been itching to beat you to death for a while. I missed you so, Zero. I was so thrilled you came to see me. Truth be told, I almost came as well.
That's nice.
In fact, your companions are the disciples of the following intoners. Disciples are men who protect and fulfill their masters, their intoners' desires. The sisters have similar attributes of Zero: intelligence, strength, hair, nails, and boobies. The flower and the dragons are deeply rooted in history. This explains heavily why the intoners can only be killed by dragons or dragon-made weapons. This also explains the dragon's insatiable appetite for intoners.
Did you really think something like that who would finish an intoner.
So, what do we learn? Zero is a protagonist who is trying to save the world from the flower growing on her face by killing her sisters, who also came for her face.
You always gotta give it to Square Enix to make a beautiful and great soundtrack to a game, as well as the Final Fantasy-like quality of CGI cutscenes. The graphics of the game are decent for the PS3, especially for the much-awaited third game of the series, not including the additions without numbers. It's not as great as Final Fantasy, but it gets the job done. The game was heavily focused on the story rather than the full-on graphics, but at least it wasn't neglected. Even the creative director himself stated that he wanted Drakengard's story to be nothing ever experienced before. At the end of the game, after clearing the main story, the enemies will become slightly stronger and the game difficulty skyrockets. Most people say, and it's not required, but DLCs are recommended and will help you through the other branches of the game, making the minions less stressful to beat. There's also a DLC which will give you the original Japanese voices, but only if you think that's worth the money. Lastly, there are 6 DLCs which gives you playable backstories for each of the 6 sisters. Drakengard 3, aka Dragon Dragoon 3, gets a rating of 8 out of 10. Games over food. The story and music were the most captivating part of this game. The gameplay is really simple and at times repetitive, but the small bits of unadulterated M-comedy kept me smiling through my playthrough. I only wish that this game could have been on a new-gen console for higher graphics with a bit more camera control. I've never played Drakengard 1 or 2, but this game, Drakengard 3, has introduced me to a wondrous universe. Do yourself a favor and play this gem.
Hey guys, thanks for watching our Drakengard 3 review for the PS3. Pretty cool game. Kinda pricey though, on the $40 to $50 kinda slide, but pretty good game. If you guys want to check out more of our videos, you can go ahead and explore the links on the side or in the video. There's also a Facebook that we have and a Twatters, so go ahead, follow our book face and like our Twatter. I'm pretty sure I said that right.